And welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruby and this is my review for I Came Back, a new Netflix original movie. This is going to be a spoiler review talking about the ending as well. It's one of those reviews that I ummed and ahed about whether I should just do a normal review or do spoilers, and I think it's going to be too easy to spoil it for people. So if you've come here and you're looking for a non-spoiler review, that's not this place. Come back afterwards and let me know your thoughts about the movie down below. But for now, let's jump in. I Came By follows a young graffiti artist who discovers a shocking secret. Directed by Mackay and Vari. Like I said, we have our two main protagonists at the beginning. They're tagging houses inside, which I thought was a really nice kind of extra kind of kick in the face to the man. They're not only are they breaking into houses, but they're managing to do it with like through the technology. They have their tag, their unique art style, and it looks pretty good. I've always been a champion of graffiti if it looks good. If it's just a tag and it looks crap, then you're just kind of making it worse than before. But if you actually have something to say, which you normally should do, the whole thing about graffiti is that you have something to say against the societal norms. And I'm going off track here, but anyway, that's kind of what it is, and that's what these two represent. And then one day, one of our main protagonists sees something that he shouldn't, and it so shakes him up. He needs help from his friend, but his friend is having a baby and he doesn't want anything to do with that lifestyle. And in walks one of the best characters we've seen on TV when it comes to a bad guy with presence, Hugh Bonneville. I mean, he's played a cornucopia of British stuff, and not just British stuff, but generally he has great acting persona or presence on screen. Right. But every now and again he plays a character that you kind of just fall in love with.
So that's fairly good.
This is for a very different reason. Now, him playing as Bernie in Notting Hill was one of my favorite characters.
Careful there, Vicar.
Easy to relate to, easy to champion. This one you love to hate. So he's the judge, is methodical, clever, quite reserved. You know that there's a lot of intelligence going on behind his face. So when he takes people out or says things that will affect you so quickly, when one of our first characters is taken out and you're hoping upon hope that your character is still alive, that is when he kind of just says, when the mother was in the home of the person that had taken her son out, he said, yeah, I flushed him down the toilet. But so reserved and methodical on his face, like zero expressionist. And then, you know, the only expression that you get from the inflection of his voice is when he said, you did this. And so he's so gone in his head, you understand that he's doing what he thinks he needs to survive. But also there's a conversation as to why this happens, and it's a conversation that's so scary but also revealing. He's sitting down on the couch with the kind of guy that gives him a massage after he's just had a swim, and he's kind of telling this guy once he's spiked the drink, and you're on the edge of your seat. You're listening as the story is revealing more of itself, but you're really worried for the guy. And that is just clever filmmaking. I would say that Mackay and Vari directed and wrote Wounds. And Wounds is one of those films that is very mixed in reception. I liked it for the most part until the end, then I hated it. But some people love it. It does have that kind of feel. I think some people are going to feel the similar about this ending. I was rooting for everybody to be alive until the end, even though I knew in my gut that they weren't. And once we get to the end, we find out that our characters were dead like we expected them to. Mother had been chopped up and put in an incinerator and flushed down the toilet with her ashes, the son as well as the guy, the masseuse. Now here's the thing, the reveal at the end, if we see the guy that's locked up in the room, we're like, oh, how long has he been down there? I wonder what he's been up to. Until we get to that story bit, I kind of connected that character with the guy in the room that was there originally, the one that he hated most. But not till the end, when we see him still alive, the only guy that he hadn't bothered to kill, did we realize that was the guy from the story that he kept alive for so long, torturing the one that he hates above all. That's how I understood it. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, but that's how I'm explaining it in my mind. If I did miss that, I'm pretty sure it's that same guy. In the entirety of the film, it's the one guy that, you know, is always alive. It's the guy from the stories. That's how I understood it. The connection is there when he's explaining the story while he'd spiked the guy. Now, the cinematography in this is also excellent. Very slow, methodical shots. No kind of massive shaky camera moments. Looks incredibly airy, even in those places that have the kind of gray tints on the outside during the day. Still has an atmosphere. You kind of are always on the edge of your seat. You know things are going wrong, because of the presence that Hugh Bonneville brings. I think the music is fine, it's understated, adds to the atmosphere and tone when you get it, but I think, like, without a doubt, the acting and then the film is taken by this guy that you can't help but watch. Kind of want to tear your face away from him, because he's mesmerizing in the fact that he's so creepy, so reserved, so excellently quiet in his mind, but you're wondering what's going on underneath there. Or was that just me? I just thought his performance was phenomenal. I really enjoyed this. Now, when we got to the end and we had that reveal, there was a little bit of satisfaction, even though all those characters we were rooting for to be alive weren't there. The tagging, it was kind of like a homage to his friend, a way to say he was here and actually there is some sort of revenge now. Hopefully they'll find the blood and DNA and be able to link him with that person that's now alive to that story of what he's been doing this whole time. I was kind of hoping that our main protagonist that is still alive would get back together with his partner and they would have a family. That may happen, but this is a more realistic look and take of if there is a serial killer active with connections to the force, is a judge, has this dark past and is smart, the likelihood of them catching a serial killer is probably really minimal. I read an article recently that they said that in America, apparently active right now, there are 20 to 25 serial killers that the FBI know of but are unable to bring to justice. I don't know if that's true, but it's scary if you think about that. Anyone, your neighbors, could actually be these dark people. You never know what's going on behind closed doors, and especially when it comes down to the politicians or the judges of the UK. When we see what happens with what the news allows us to see, just from, you know, those little bits, and we see, wow, that's what they get up to. Can you imagine what they get up to behind closed doors? Probably don't want to. So I thought this film had a realistic look at what there are probably some things going on, the seedy underbellies of life, unfortunately, and it just felt real, especially with the accents from our two characters, the way it was shot. You know, obviously I'm in England, in the UK, and I just felt like it was all quite well done. The authenticity of the film makes it scarier, that when you see this character and you start understanding what he is, why he is the way he is, you're like, oh, really hope he gets caught. Great film. Let me know your thoughts down below. I thought this was well worth your time. If I were to rate it, I'd probably give it 4.5 Nicolas Cages out of 5. That's kind of my breakdown spoiler review with the ending sort of explained. I think I'm right about that. I hope I am. Thanks so much for watching. Here are another 2 reviews to watch on my channel. But most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.